So hi, I'm Andrew and this is Willard.
Hello.
And we're here to give an update on how MeshDB has been going. So what is MeshDB? It is a database for tracking information about members and nodes and devices that we have on the mesh and how they relate to each other. The idea is to have a consistent and stable interface for robots and humans to use and to be able to build tools on in a robust way. You might say oh, why don't we have that? Well, we've got a spreadsheet right now serving us well, but it has a bunch of limitations that would be associated with a spreadsheet. So this project aims to replace that and sort of replace all of the functions associated with that. So this is the timeline we pitched to you back in April, and we didn't meet that. But that's okay. We've been busy. So we've been working on plenty of stuff. So you can see here, this is commit activity over time. So, we had the original presentation. We gave you an update in April, and then we took some vacation, and then we came back.
I was in the woods.
And we did a bunch of stuff. Right? So we've been doing a bunch of stuff recently. We got all kinds of great upgrades, bug fixes, improvements. And we're feeling really, really good today to be able to confidently say, it's ready, it's done, let's start using it.
So,
we closed 92 issues, right? But you can see, right, the sum here is we started with 40, we were halfway there in April, and then now we're at 90. So between that time, we doubled the number of issues, but we also closed all the new ones. So, we're here, we're ready.
Yeah, we've made a lot of improvements. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. This has been a consistent, dynamic sort of back and forth process, right? As these large projects usually are. We sort of back in April did the best we could with the information we had, and then we learned a lot more. So we find ourselves here now, a bit older, a lot wiser, theoretically. I guess to sort of elaborate on that, what exactly have we been doing? We have vastly improved our hosting situation. We've added 3 new servers, soon to be 4, to our sort of compute infrastructure in the mesh here. Right now, they all live at SN3. We're going to have a new one living at SN10 very soon. And that will let us do things such as high availability, failover, redundancy. We've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that MeshDB will not go down. And if it goes down, we have a backup. So we've put a lot of effort into that. Here you can see myself and Quincy back in, I think this was March, configuring the networking for one of said servers, #PutItOnJohn. In the pursuit of high availability, we've also added a suite of monitoring and observability through Datadog. So that will give us really, really good insights into MeshDB and how it's operating. If there's an issue, if there's anything wrong at all ever, we'll get pinged for it in Slack. And maybe a little more than that if something really bad happens. But so we've got a lot of great tools around that. We've done a lot of improvements to our UI and our workflow. We have written and then rewritten and then rewritten several forms to make them as good as they can be. We have a great, super robust admin panel that people have already been using, people have been giving great feedback on, and we've been iterating on it. We'll continue to iterate on it. This is a living project. That's been cooking. We've done a ton of bug fixes, especially Andrew has done so much with the data validation and correctness of the spreadsheets. We have done everything humanly possible to make sure that copying data from the spreadsheet to MeshDB goes as smoothly as possible.
It's at 98%. It's I can't do better than that.
It's truly insane.
We're never going to get every row 100% perfect, but it's very, very good right now.
I come home from work every day and he's like, "Hey, Willard, can you review this PR for this thing, this one very, very small edge case here?" And I'm like, Andrew, stop. So, we've done a lot of work on this, and we are rock solid confident in our work. We've also added more tools. Most recently, we've added the SQL Explorer, which lets you run raw queries against our database, right? We've got great search and great interface in MeshDB admin panel, but if that's not exactly what you're looking for, if you can't quite get it to do the thing you want it to do, you can just run a SQL query, and it's super fast, and you can save your queries and share them with others. So that's been a huge asset for, finding like, the nodes that are closest to like the Link NYC kiosks or something in like a certain radius, right? We can even replicate the actual like spreadsheet data through SQL, which is really sick. We've also written a ton of documentation for people to learn how to use MeshDB, for people to learn how to hack on MeshDB, integrate with our API, use like our backup tooling, or just to like set up an environment of their own to like mess around with or whatever. So we got a ton of docs. It's on the wiki. We're working on it all the time. So that's a couple of the big points. Launch. Gotta talk about it. I made the post this morning. And basically what that's going to be is on November 3rd, these things will happen. MeshDB will become the source of information for the mesh. It will replace the spreadsheet. It will, like the join form will point to MeshDB. The map will be powered by MeshDB. OS ticket integration, right? Like all the stuff that the spreadsheet currently does will just be backed by MeshDB. That should be silent for the most part, right? Like we've done a lot of work to make sure that it won't break. So that will happen, and the spreadsheet will no longer be updated. We're gonna try to lock it if we can, just to make sure that like nobody accidentally does anything. It's like if you want to do things, MeshDB will be the thing to use. Also with that, old query and assignment forms and all that stuff will stop working, as I mentioned. But yes, and one thing that I think I forgot to put on this slide is, will there be problems? Yes, absolutely. There will be so many bugs. During this time, we ask for your patience. We have blocked out like the whole week to like address problems, fix bugs, put out fires. We will do everything we can to make this as smooth as possible for as many people as possible. If there are issues, please just tell us, please let us know, and we will work with you. Once that's done, once we're like solid, right? Once we've fixed all those issues, we will continue to do bug fixes. We will also continue to do bug fixes. It's on there twice because I know there will be a lot of bugs. We then have, once the bug fixes are done, or maybe in tandem, if we get bored, we will work through the feature backlog. There is a bunch of issues on the GitHub that like didn't quite make it like, under the line for the like launch, but like there's still stuff that we think is important, things that people have requested, things that are cool, things that would be useful, that we'll continue to work on, post November 3rd. If you have anything to suggest, please let us know in the MeshDB channel or open an issue on GitHub yourself. Besides those features, we'll also continue to improve reliability. There's more observability that we can always do, more alerts, more monitors, etc. We will continue to build out our compute infrastructure, right? We've got the servers coming in SN10. Eventually, we also want to get into SN11 as well and have like true, like triple redundant high availability systems, which is like super overkill, but like, we don't want this to break. So I think it's warranted. And then, like Horizon 3, we want to have sort of larger in scope, crazier, cooler ideas, right? We want to, maybe put some work into the map, put some work into the panoramas system, once we have bandwidth to do so. And we will field at that point requests for features and products and tools and whatever people can think of. So we're very excited for that part. Yeah, let's see. Here's the actual timeline. It's sort of like ugly details of the next 2 weeks or so. So October 22nd is today. This is the update. We will start having office hours 7 to 8 p.m. in Zoom, in MeshDB channel, in Zoom, on the 28th. If you want to ask us anything, if you want to learn how to use MeshDB, if you have questions, comments, concerns, feature requests, whatever, if you want to learn how to set up MeshDB for development and like add a feature, we'll be there to help you out. This week, we would ask that everybody comes to the MeshDB channel if you have concerns and tell us about them. Sometime next week, we've had interest in like a formal sort of MeshDB training session where we'll like sit down and be like, here are all the features. Here's how to actually use the interface.
If that sounds good, React in the Slack channel so we have an accurate count.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's like a formal training to like, we'll take you through the UI and the data model, and you can ask questions about like, you know, how are these things supposed to be related to each other, and what does a good relation look like? What is a bad, you know, there's some complexity there that's not there in the existing spreadsheet, and you know, we just thought it would be good to have like a session. We'll probably record it, but just give us a React so we can gauge interest.
And yeah, this and then next week, fix high priority bugs as they appear, because this is software engineering. Of course, there'll be bugs. And then November 3rd, it happens. 8 p.m., which, I mean, it's daylight savings, so I think it'll be 7, but anyway. Yeah, we will click approximately 4 buttons and cut over to MeshDB as the thing. During that time, please do not interact with MeshDB. I will put it into maintenance mode. Do not interact with the spreadsheet. We will lock it, and then we will let you know when it's done. We'll try to do that as quickly as possible to prevent any disruptions. And then, yeah, November 4th, the day after, we will have office hours. And, you know, hopefully nothing will break. And if it does, we'll fix it. We blocked out that whole week sort of for just follow-up. And then, yeah, leading into November and December, we will work through that backlog, think about new features, and invite people to collaborate and work on stuff. Because MeshDB has been open source. It's still open source. Here's the repos. Please help us out. If you have coding experience, if you want to learn, if you want to just build a tool that you think will be useful, let us know. You know, show up to the repo, open up pull requests. We're always happy to review. And yeah, if you want help, you know, getting started, right? We've got those office hours every Monday, so you know, pop in. And of course, you know, if you want to just do it async, you can also just hit us up on MeshDB, and do it that way. But yes, this could be you. We have 9 contributors on the main MeshDB repository. You could be number 10. That could be your profile picture. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, Q&A. That's about all we had. So we're gonna open up to Q&A.
Hello? Is this on? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah. So is that the entire spreadsheet is being shut down because there's like the links tab?
All 3 tabs.
Yep. And so we'd be switching over to a map that works on
So the existing map will stay, but the code that updates it will pull from MeshDB instead of where it pulls from today.
And how about the XML for Google Earth?
Same thing. There's a KML file that's available. It's linked on the MeshDB website, and that again it pulls from MeshDB instead of the existing tool.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds great. Thanks.
What about the IP range?
The IP ranges spreadsheet is unaffected by this. Totally separate. Somebody get down a mic. Yeah.
I have a question about, I guess, auxiliary spreadsheets, because sometimes we use spreadsheets for, I guess, 165 Broome Street with its 200 fiber connections, or the Parkside Co-ops with its, 40 units and its 7 dumbwaiters or whatever. Do you have space in that for MeshDB, or will that continue to be sort of a bespoke spreadsheet for the alternate styles of data recording?
So like if you're going out on an install and you're like putting a light beam in every apartment or whatever, and you like need some special way to write down and check off which ones have it and which ones don't, like we're not necessarily trying to get down to that level of granularity of what we're doing. It's only like we're trying to be the canonical source of information for what nodes and installs and people are present on the mesh. If those spreadsheets are performing that function today, I see that as a problem and they should be consolidated into the main spreadsheet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's good. Probably shouldn't try and fit every possible use case into a single thing and then have bloat.
You can still use a spreadsheet if you like it. It just won't update the map.
Yep. Cool. Perfect.
And that said, I'm peripherally aware of like a few projects to sort of address that use case. We should talk later because I have a few ideas for how to do like sort of batching, right? Like install groups, if you will.
It's also worth noting that MeshDB speaks CSV in
Yes.
both directions. And so like if you're like trying to work on a building, you can like query for the building, dump all the installs, check them all off on your tablet or whatever. Or if you're like signing up a new building and you have a list of tenants, you can import the CSV. And there's wiki pages on all of that.
Is this also going to be handling Singon? Jack, is this also going to be handling your inventorying, or is that just a totally different system altogether?
Yeah, inventory is staying on a spreadsheet. That system seems to work for our needs. I don't see any reason to touch it.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
it's like fully separate. I saw a hand back here.
Thanks, John, for your question. Obviously, Grand Street is an example where they are because this is kind of an interesting development. And I know we've worked through some challenges through the way that data is recorded here, especially for the Grand Street residents who aren't really tech savvy. I'm wondering what mitigations have been made for folks who do not have emails and do not have ways that we can reach them by email, and see if what the current status is with working with those inputs.
I can take that one.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll point out that like OS ticket is still in the primary workflow and it requires an email address, and like that's not good. And in the long term, we need to change that for exactly the reason you point out. But on day one, it will still be in the workflow in the same way that it is today. I will point out that MeshDB itself does not require the email address. It's only required like as a part of the workflow. And so you actually can have a member object in MeshDB with a null email address, which might be reasonable in the case of a Grand Street member. I know that we have a lot of tricks right now where like there's like fake emails and stuff. As much as possible when we do the import, we've tried to strip that out so that it's accurate. Like, no, we actually don't have an email. Like, we're not sending emails into the abyss, right?
Yeah. And there are ways to like, if there's like a weird situation and you as a volunteer see this weird situation, you can like sort of get around validation rules if you need to.
Mm-hmm. So maybe as a follow-up, I'm wondering maybe, especially for the folks, whether it's our contractor here or whether it's other volunteers who might be involved in the Grand Street process here or other buildings where we'll have non-tech literate folks who do not have access to typical means like, tech literate folks do. I'm wondering, does it make sense for us to create a workflow specifically for that? Whether that's a front end that will bypass the OS ticket just to make that work for these people?
Yeah, let me pitch you on a vision that I have overall for like how this might work. And this is like borrowed from Marg and others. It's like when you click the link on the website right now, it's just like immediately drops you into a form that asks you for a bunch of information, right? But I think it would be much better to sort of take you through a series of questions, right? And say like, do you live in this building? Do you live in this building? Are you in this neighborhood, right? Like, through like some basic questions and like, or like maybe even explain a little bit of how the mesh works. And like, this is why we want to know if you have access to your roof, stuff like that. And then based on your answers, you might go to a couple of different places. And perhaps, yeah, if you say I live at 410 Grand Street, it sends you to a special form just for Grand Street. And like that doesn't require email and it doesn't trigger an OS ticket and stuff like that. So I think there's plenty of room for that after we get things sort of operational. Like after we meet today's status quo and the new tooling, totally happy to talk about that.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great.
I would just, again, because I think I say it every time you guys present, I think this is an incredible effort. This project might actually be longer than Olmsted, that's really something. Also, as someone who's never coded and certainly not coded anything as part of this, but has been a part of a lot of production migrations, I would just ask that everybody else, especially installers and people who are doing support like us, be patient. I'm sure we're going to find I genuinely don't think that there's going to be any major bugs and you guys have just been beating the hell out of this thing. There will be little weird edge cases, but for everybody else, I would ask for empathy and patience because we can work around those and, it doesn't have to be fixed tonight. And Andrew and Willard and James and many, many other people have probably been up until 4 o'clock in the morning for about 100 nights this year. And they all deserve about a month of sleep after we get to the first week. So thank you guys. This is great.
Thank you, Matt. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.